Welcome back to Smoking Sports. I'm your host, Will Smoak. Coming right back to you on this wild card weekend. And as I'm recording this, the Broncos Bills game just finished up. I'll get to my thoughts on that in the next episode. So wait for that, be ready for that. But that's not what I'm gonna be talking about. I'm gonna go over my reactions to those playoff games later another time. Especially after right before I started this, right before I started recording, my brother comes down here and he goes, "Yo, guess what happened? The Seattle Seahawks, not even 2 minutes into the game, got a 97-yard touchdown off a field goal." What? That is that's crazy. To start it off. So, listen, man, these playoffs have been great. They've been crazy. And, well, honestly, all the games have been super close. We haven't seen a blowout, really, except for the Texans Steelers game. And even that one was somewhat entertaining in the first half with how many turnovers there were. And then there was defensive touchdowns. Those are fun to watch. So, really, these playoffs have been probably some of the best playoffs we've seen in years. We just got to cap it off with some more good games going further here, especially as all the teams that I want to win are losing. My Packers lost. Now, I wanted the Bills to win. They lost. Right now, I guess I would love to see Patriots Rams. That's the Super Bowl I want to see. At this time of recording, it'll probably be out of the window in like 2 days. So, but here we go. As of the other news, we got some coach news. Jon Harbaugh was hired, and Matt LaFleur got his extension with the Green Bay Packers. And then I'm going to give you my pick for all the NFL awards. So that's kind of the rundown of the show, what we're doing here today. And I'm going to start it off with Jon Harbaugh. Got hired by the Giants. Hired early. It makes sense. The contract is estimated to be about $100 million, but I believe it is for sure 5 years, right around that time frame, right around there. And he was a great coach with the Ravens. The Ravens were a good team, and he wasn't even available for 10 days since he was fired. That's how you know that he is a good coach. He was barely available for a week, not even 2 weeks. If you wanted Jon Harbaugh as your coach, you had to make that decision probably within, that hour after he was fired. But then also, you you needed to act on that soon because he got hired within 10 days. He visited the Giants facility on Wednesday and then had to go through contract talks and everything like that. So Harbaugh was 180 and 113 with 12 playoff appearances out of the 18 seasons, which is pretty good for a head coach. A Super Bowl win against the 49ers back in 2013 and 6 AFC North titles. He became the Ravens' winningest coach while he was there, which is pretty good. And he had a great tenure. And like I said, I did agree with the decision to move on. But I think this is a good move for the Giants. Their future is for sure bright. I don't think there's any doubt in any minds that they have their quarterback. That's the first thing. They have their quarterback. That's set up. And with Jackson Dart. Now, he needs to learn to consistently slide and that way he can stay on the field more and not get in so many concussion protocols. He was in a concussion protocol like 6 out of the 8 games that he played this year. Is crazy. Otherwise, he was probably the best rookie quarterback, I would say. Cam Scadaboo, obviously. Yeah, I think in my mind, he was probably, he was healthy. He was the best rookie running back. Stats-wise and overall, you're still going to take, obviously, Ashton Genty. He played the full season. But I think Cam Skattebo is right up there, probably as the second best rookie running back, maybe even the best. You can definitely debate that, however you want to say it. You can debate that all you want. I don't think Skattebo is going to last like Derrick Henry until he's 35, just the way he runs. But he was definitely electric, brought a different spark to this Giants team. And he is the future of this run game. I think that's great. I think that this run game is really going to help out Jackson Dart. And they have him there as the solid player for that. Now, hopefully he can come back just as he was off his injury, and we'll get to see more of that. That you have Malik Neighbors coming back. This team got injured quite a bit, a decent bit this year. Neighbors will come back off his torn ACL. Huge for Jackson Dart. To think that Jackson Dart played so well without even his number one wide receiver is a crazy thought to think how good he'll be this year with Jon Harbaugh and whoever else he brings in. So, and then not only that, and I'll get to the defense in a second, and the O-line, but they have the 5th pick in this draft. And they can go many ways with this. They could get a receiver. They could go defense, particular secondary. They could do pretty much anything they want. But when you have all this set in place, you have your quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and your O-line is okay. It's all right. And you have it, and I feel like you have some decent players on defense. And then you now have the coach. And you have the 5th overall draft pick. This is also similar to kind of what the Patriots had last year, where you now have the coach, you have the quarterback. They did not have the offensive line, but they have a decent defense to put with it. They go out and get Milton Williams. They draft Travion Henderson for their run game. They get Stephon Diggs and Mac Hollins for the receiving core. And now you have the spots in place, and they're the 2 seed this year. I think the Giants can do that next year. I think they can flip it around just like that. And I think they have the pieces of that. They have one of the best defensive fronts in the league. Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Abdul Carter. Even though Abdul Carter didn't do that well this year and didn't perform to the expectations of me and many, it was great. I think the defense definitely needs some more consistency. They need some secondary help. But, it's promising. You're bringing in Jon Harbaugh, who has had some very good defenses with the Ravens in the past and has drafted some great players. Kyle Hamilton, just to name one off the top of my head here, on defense. So he knows what he's doing defensively, and I think that is not going to be a problem for them. The offensive line, it's not spectacular by any means, but it was much improved in pass blocking this year. They're 4th in the league in pressures allowed, and if they can continue to stay healthy, they should be great. They have the left tackle and some more emerging pieces this year, so I definitely think they'll get there, and that Jackson Dart will be protected next year. I think it was a great hire by the Giants to get a veteran head coach in here to work with this young team, and I think Joe Shane's drafting has been good. It's been all right with the Giants, okay? And when Harbaugh was originally hired by the Ravens, they went from 5-11 the year prior to 11-5 with him in an AFC Championship game appearance. I think he's got the pieces to replicate that in the Big Apple. I don't think that's a stretch at all. I think this is a team that can drastically improve next year. And Jon Harbaugh has already made statements about this culture. They're going to play a brand of football that they're proud of. And I think New York Giants football is going to be on the rise next year. So then also, coming out of the coaching world of the NFL, the Packers extended Matt LaFleur, giving him a multi-year contract. Not many details have been released quite yet, but to keep him in Tailtown. I think it's the right move. I definitely think their offense is still not great. I think they need Matthew Golden to really figure it out next year, get a little bigger. But it's also not Matt LaFleur's fault that Brandon McManus missed 2 field goals and an extra point. The amount of points, 7, that would have tied the game against the Bears. That's not his fault. Okay? And I think you just got to realize that their offense should have been better in the second half. And listen, this team was very injury riddled throughout the year. Lots of players went down with injury. And in the game, I believe Sean Ryan got hurt in that game, who was our backup center. So there's obviously that. Tucker Kraft and Micah Parsons. Tucker Kraft was our leading receiver before he went out. And you could see that the rest of the year, how we struggled without Tucker Kraft, our best receiver, because we'd been missing that in years prior, and he was really stepping up. Micah Parsons, the defense floundered quite a bit after he tore his ACL. Hopefully he'll be back early and ready to go next year. And I think if they can stay healthy, they can do what people expected them to do after the Micah Parsons trade this year. Go win a Super Bowl title, because even as the 7th seed, I think they had a legit shot to make the NFC Championship game. I think that that's how good this team could have possibly been, even that injury riddled. But it didn't happen, and I think it's great to keep them there, to not have to go through a head coaching search and not possibly lose probably a top 5 coach, or top 10 for sure coach in the league. Speaking of top 10, we're going into my NFL awards. Listen, we're not talking about who I think will win. I'm not talking about who I predicted in the beginning of the year to win, even though I'm pretty sure those predictions are absolutely horrible. I thought Aiden Hutchinson was going to break the sack record. Now, someone did. It just wasn't Aiden Hutchinson. It was Myles Garrett. I thought that the Bengals were going to go absolutely crazy. Jamar Chase was going to win OPOY and Joe Burrow was going to win MVP. Yeah, it was a rough year of predictions for me. So, we're going to start off with that MVP. And my pick is going to Drake May. I think not only is he a large reason that the Patriots are the 2 seed in the AFC after going 4-13 last year. Obviously, he's not the only reason, but in his improvement this year has been great. He has the numbers to back it up. He has less touchdowns, obviously, but he has almost the same amount of passing yards, if not more, I think. He has the same amount of interceptions as Stafford. He has a better completion percentage. The numbers are there, and although Stafford's numbers overall are better, I think what May did with a much worse offensive line and not as good of a receiving corps is more valuable and more impressive to me, because Matthew Stafford had a great offensive line. He only got sacked 26 times this year. And he had Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, who I am going to talk about Puka Nacua later. Just wait. So when you have that, and then this year I think Kyren Williams was better than Travion Henderson. I don't think that'll be the same next year, but it was this year. And then also, I think that this Rams defense at times was better than the Patriots. And May's numbers were better against similar opponents in those big time games. So I definitely think that May was more valuable to his team, to the franchise, and just overall as a singular player. I think he's launched himself into some top 5 quarterback discussions. I think we have to have those discussions about Drake May this year, especially if he makes a deep playoff run. I think we have to have those discussions. Offensive Player of the Year, I've got none other than Puka Nacua. I'm taking him over JSN and Bijan Robinson, and I'll explain why. Puka had like 60 yards short of JSN. That was it. Second, to JSN in yards. He led the league in receptions, beat JSN by 10, and tied JSN in touchdowns. Now, do I believe that Puka had the better offense around him and had the better quarterback? Yes. But I think Puka's production, all well, he missed one game. JSN played all 17. He missed one game, Puka did, in week 17 to an ankle sprain. You think if Puka plays that game, not only does he have probably 130 plus catches, but he probably beats JSN in yards and possibly beats him in touchdowns? That's the type of production. I'm just saying, Puka Nacua had a great year, and overall, I think he was better than Bijan. I think Puka Nacua was the focal point on what ended up being a playoff team versus Bijan was definitely the focal point. But on a team that got eliminated about 5 weeks before the season ended. So I believe Puka, his production was better, and everything else about him was better than the other candidates. Protector of the Year, the new NFL award. My pick is Penei Sewell. He's one of the best left tackles in the NFL, if not the best. And he's by far the best offensive lineman on the Lions this year when their offensive line was not great. He was PFF's best ranked lineman. I know that doesn't say everything, but he's PFF's best ranked lineman. Checks out. And number 1 in run blocking, number 11 in pass blocking. He is as good as any offensive lineman you could ever want in the game. And I think he protected Jared Goff very well this year. My offensive rookie of the year is Teteroa McMillan. I think I said it right. I think at the draft, I also really didn't know how to say his name, so I just said Tet. I guess I'll just say Tet. McMillan, to me, is a clear favorite to win this award. I really think it's a weaker race, and I think that some of that has to do because the original favorites, Ashton Jeanty, Travis Hunter, and Cam Ward, were on bad teams and didn't produce enough. Jeanty and Ward, or got injured and played less snaps on offense than we thought in Travis Hunter. But McMillan was the first Panthers rookie receiver to reach 1,000 yards since Calvin Benjamin in 2014, and he set their rookie record with 1,044 yards. He was also second to Calvin Benjamin for rookie touchdowns and catches with 7 touchdowns and 70 catches this season, and he was on a playoff team. He was by far Bryce Young's number 1 target. He played great. He's that alpha number 1 receiver. I think we saw that earlier in the year. We saw it all through the year. And I can't wait to see him next year on this Panthers team that I think will make a run at the division again. So I think it'll be fun to watch. Comeback player of the year, this one I think is also a sweep. Christian McCaffrey. I think he's the obvious choice. He's coming off an Achilles injury so bad that he had to go to Germany for treatment. And I guess I might have to go to Germany because whatever magical treatment he got there worked. It worked. 1,200 rushing yards and 900 receiving yards, also 102 catches. 6th in the league. Yeah, he is all-purpose right there. 2nd in all-purpose yards behind Bijan Robinson. I ain't counting those returners and those all-purpose yards. Well, man. Despite all the injuries that happened to the rest of the team, Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall was hurt a lot. Mac Jones was in there. Trent Williams was out for a while. And then a bunch of injuries on defense, which means that a lot of time they were on the field, but you have less rushing attempts, most likely. But that wasn't always the case. I think that on one of the more resilient teams, McCaffrey played a great role. He definitely played a lot more in this offense and will, especially now that George Kittle's out, than I think almost a lot of people would have expected coming off that injury. Even though he has Christian McCaffrey, he got the ball over 300 times and had 400 total times. He's got 100 catches. He's a very versatile. He always has been. And I think it's going great in San Francisco. I think he's the obvious pick for comeback player of the year. And I'd be surprised if anyone else wins it. Coach of the year. This one was tough, but I'm gonna go with Ben Johnson. And there's no shortage of options yet. Liam Cohen, you got Ben Johnson, you got Mike Vrabel, you have Kyle Shanahan. But I'm going with the coach who won the Bears their first playoff game in 15 years. He's turning around Chicago. He's turning around the Bears. And he's turning around the career of Caleb Williams. The Bears are winning games. Yes, they're frauds, but they're winning games. They are winning games. And Caleb Williams has looked so much better this year with an offensive coach than he did last year. And it always hasn't been pretty. But Ben Johnson has made a huge difference in Chicago. He drafted Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. That ended up working. Loveland is one of Williams' favorite targets now. And he went out, got the offensive line protection for what was the worst offensive line last year. Ended up being one of the best offensive line this year, leading the number one rushing attack in the league with DeAndre Swift and 7th round pick Kyle Monangai. That does not sound like a number one rushing attack, but you know what? Ben Johnson did it. And when I look at it, I was like, really? But then I had to actually think back. When he was in Detroit, a lot of their offense, play action and running the football with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And I know some of that has to do with Jared Goff being his quarterback in Detroit, and that's where some of this creativity and different stuff can come in with Caleb Williams, which must be nice for Ben Johnson. But he got them the number one run game, a much better offensive line, and a pass game that has worked. They've won games, they've came back, they've been resilient. And then he also went shirtless in a game after the Eagles for some wiener circle for his hot dogs, his pledge. It's out there. Ben Johnson, I think everybody expected him to be the best coach. He was the best option coming in. He was going to pick his team because he declined the Commander's job the year before. And he took Caleb Williams. Now they're in the divisional round. If they get a win against... Who are they playing? Oh my god. If the Bears get a win against the Rams, and not only knock off the Rams, because I think they are in my mind, the NFC Championship favorites. The NFC favorites. But they get a lot more than that. They get the mojo. They're in the NFC Championship game. And that is huge for Chicago. And Ben Johnson has really turned it around. Defensive Player of the Year, this is a quick one. Nobody else is going to win it. When they announced that the Defensive Player of the Year award is up there, before they even announce who win, Myles Garrett might as well stand up and start walking towards the stage, save us some time while watching. When you break the sack record, in your freaking nature, I mean, it's an obvious pick. Kudos to him. Joe Burrow kind of did a Brett Favre and fell over, but he broke the sack record. You can't say anything because Myles Garrett did it in less snaps than Michael Strahan, and Strahan, to get his own sack record, had to have him fall over. Really, it should be going to TJ Watt for a strip sack on the Mar, I believe, that they didn't count, but Myles Garrett now has the sack record, and I wish, if only he would have stood by his trade request and was on a contender with that sack record instead of the lowly Browns. Yeah. Defensive Rookie there. This one, another Brown. I'm giving it to Carson Schweschinger. I can't say his last name, but Schweschinger Carson was a great part of the Browns defense. It's one of the better units in the league. He did it all this year. electric player. Lot tackles, interceptions, sacks. It's going to be fun to see him with Garrett, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit in the future here. And he was definitely a great pick for the Browns. I think they have one of the better defenses in the league. I think they have that side figured out. They need to figure out this offense because that is where they struggled this year. Now, throwing a few of my own, we're going to go play of the year and game of the year to close out this episode. Play of the year, I'm going with the Jameis Winston touchdown catch. Might have been the funniest play of the year. Winston, whenever he's starting, it's always fun to watch. Always fun to hear the interviews. Great guy. That was something else, man. Great throw and pocket evasion by Gunnar Olszewski. Don't quite know how to say his name, but it was a great throw. And James made a semi-contested catch, like kind of there, but it's still